How's it going, Viper Gang? It's JT coming at you with another episode of the Raidercast, your podcast for everything silver and black. And today, we're going to be talking about the red and black, the Vegas Vipers. A couple days ago, actually yesterday, the Vipers actually released their depth chart, which is fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Totally, I'm not gonna lie. It's fucking awesome because I'm very excited. I was very excited to see who was starting, who the QB was, the wide receivers, the defensive ends, defensive tackles, running backs, all that good stuff. And in this video, I will be talking about all of the starters to the best of my ability. Some of the starters, it was hard to get information on. Gonna keep it real with you guys. It's very hard to get information on some of these players, especially O-line, so I honestly didn't even mention O-line in this video. If you want to see more information about just general players, I put out two videos. One just a few days ago where they revealed their final 51 roster, so definitely, I still haven't got it right. Definitely go check that out up in that corner. And also up in that corner, definitely go check out my first ever video on the Vipers, which was their draft, which features a lot of the people on the roster. But today, you know, we're going to talk about the roster as a whole. And before I even get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. As you can tell, I don't give a fuck what I say, so it's a much unfiltered Raiders / Vipers content, especially since the season starts this Saturday, and I will be live streaming my reaction to the Vipers' first ever game in the XFL 3.0's first ever game this season. So definitely stay tuned for that. Definitely like and subscribe. Definitely turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the stream. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna do my I'm just gonna talk about the game, keep you guys try to get you guys as informed about this team as possible, and you guys seem to love my last video, so I greatly appreciate it. So let's get into it by just looking at the roster as a whole. And now, it is extremely small, and there's a bunch of little names on there. That's why I'm going to go into it more in depth. I'm not just going to keep this up here. I'm actually going to go offense, defense, special teams. But this is just a general overview. And if you've been following some of my videos or just following the Vipers in general, there's a lot of names on this list that you will recognize: Luis Perez, Martavis Bryant, Vic Beasley, Antonio Garcia, who's actually the backup. So this guy's got to be, our left tackle is going to be pretty damn solid, but it's very good to see Antonio Garcia being a backup. That means, left tackle Clayton Bradley's got to be good. And if not, Antonio Garcia, I hope, has it, down pat. Adam Sparks has been all over the socials, which is, great to have those types of people on the roster. You have Michael Carrizosa, who's a really solid kicker, who I'll get into later. Rod Smith, who I've been talking about. Jeff Bidet. Still don't know how to say his name. Maybe I should look that up. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. And then Geronimo Allison, who's also someone I talked about a lot going into this. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's first talk about the special teams to get the more, don't want to say unfun, but the less exciting part of the team. There's not as much to talk about, so I'm going to get them done and out of the way. But there is some stuff to talk about. Bailey Giffen, solid undrafted kicker with a 72.7 career kick percentage, 0 missed extra points in the FCS. He was in both the D2 and FCS. Eventually he was able to move up because he played so well in Division 2. His numbers slightly fell in FCS, and that's really why he went undrafted, and really no one picked them up except for practice squad and stuff like that. I didn't get much else information besides, his college stats, and his college stats looked solid. You're not really looking for a world beater in XFL Spring League. As long as they can hit it through the uprights on extra points, that's really the most important part. He had 0 extra points in FCS. This is why I included it, because that's huge, because you don't want a kicker that'll miss those freebies. And honestly, 72.7 career kick percentage is a reason why he's not in the NFL, but he's still making over 70% of his kicks overall as a career, and he definitely could have gotten better, because we know Daniel Carlson, as a Raider fan, Daniel Carlson sucked before coming to the Raiders, and he fixed his kick, and now he's the best fucking kicker in the league. First team All-Pro. So, not saying this guy's going to be first team All-Pro, but, there's definitely opportunity there for him to get better. And at a starting point of 72.7%, it's not that bad. And as I mentioned earlier, Michael Carrizosa, I made it seem like he was a kicker. He's actually a punter, but he's really solid. Played really well in the USFL and had a 46.1 average punt kick. So it went 46.1 yards on average every time he punted it, which is fucking solid. And I put the H there because he's also the holder, but that's not really a stat. That's just normal punters are usually the holders, so that's not anything new. But yeah, he's a solid punter. Michael Sexton, I looked him up. He's a solid receiver. He was at Eastern Michigan, who's, you know, Crosby's alum school. Solid at EMU. Him and Crosby definitely played together because they were on the same team together at the same time. So I wonder if, you know, Crosby will be at a game or two, or, you know, supporting his former teammate if they remember each other, because there's a lot of people on, you know, football and they're on the opposite sides, so they might not remember each other. But he wasn't really a punt returner or kick returner. He did a few. He had actually one punt return touchdown for 50 yards. So that's kind of cool, but he didn't really do it enough. But if he's the punt returner slash kick returner, he's obviously doing something right. And then long snapper Adam Higuera, which you can't really judge a long snapper because it's like O-lineman. It's like you just have to watch him play, and I'm no offense to him, but I'm not looking up his long snap tape. But yeah, that's the special teams. We're gonna move on to the defense. Now there's some names that you might recognize from my videos that I talked about before, like Vic Beasley, who doesn't need any introduction. He was an All-Pro in 2016 when the Falcons made their Super Bowl run. He had 15.5 sacks that season. He was really good. He's the first and only top 10 pick that I'm aware of that's in any spring league ever, because there hasn't been that many top 10 picks that have dropped off the face of the earth that have wanted to go to spring league. And you know what? Props to him. He wants to get back in the NFL, or maybe he just wants to go off on a high note and just become a really dominant linebacker, outside linebacker. So he's a Sam, which is the strong side linebacker, which is, you know, if you don't know that kind of terminology, I'm going to tell you. Sam means strong side. Will is weak side, and Mike is middle. And then Buck is something I had to learn just now. And that means he's a DB slash defensive end, so he's kind of like a wild card jack of all trades. He can kind of be anywhere on the field. He can be flying anywhere. I couldn't think of a pro comparison because it's not really used super commonly, and plus it's just kind of like a random safety is chosen or random linebacker is chosen to have that role at a certain play. There's not really a depth chart that ever has Buck. So it's very interesting that they specifically called two different guys a Buck. So they're using Bucks and disguises and all that good stuff. So I'm very interested to see what this defense looks like. Unless I'm reading too much into it, but no depth chart I've ever seen a Buck. That's why I had to look it up. I've seen Sam, Mike, Will, or SLB and MLB and YLB, which is, you know, those but different names. But I've never seen Buck, so I'm extremely excited to see what that means. That's kind of like a strong safety in my opinion, but it's a linebacker usually. And while we're on the topic, CJ Avery, I am so fucking excited for. I did more research on him, and I didn't talk about him before, and I wish I did, because this dude has the potential to be a superstar linebacker in this league. He was a beast at Louisville, at least from my perspective. Looking at his stats, he had 3 sacks, he had interceptions, he led his team in tackles 3 years in a row. He was a safety converted to linebacker, so it completely makes sense he's at the Buck, because they can play linebacker, safety, or defensive end. And he has the sacks, he has the tackles, and he has the interceptions to play that. He has those abilities to play that role really, really well, and I'm super excited to see what he can do as a Buck on a professional team, because he has not had an opportunity to actually play in any NFL team. He is a recent draftee. He actually went undrafted to the Bears, and they had to cut him due to injury, so this is his opportunity. He's legitimately the definition of the 54. He was on a practice squad recently, injured, cut. No one else signed him. This is his opportunity to show off, and I cannot wait to see what he puts out on the field. And I'm hoping he's as good as I think he's going to be. And this could be like our hidden gem on the defense, because you know Vic Beasley. I talk about Robert Windsor. He was a 6th round pick, retired after 2 seasons because of injury issues, but he's back, so he's the potential to be really good as well. Destiny Vaeo, I'm gonna say Destiny Vaeo. I'm sorry if that's mispronounced. He was in the NFL and had contributions to Philly as a solid rotational defensive tackle, and was actually on the team that won a Super Bowl in 2017. Had a really solid career at WSU. Joshie Martin was a beast at Pace, which is a D2 school, but he was really freaking good, and he even has an interception as a defensive tackle, which is impressive as hell for me, in my opinion. Adam Sparks, like I talked about, he's been all over the socials. He's been a really big guy that they're really focusing on, both probably because of skill and also personality, so I'm excited to see him. The rest of the corners and safeties, there was not a lot of information on them. However, if they're starting and Rod Woodson is saying yes, they are good enough to start as the Hall of Fame defensive back he is, then I trust him. They're probably really damn good. But like I said, CJ Avery could be our diamond in the rough guy. He was recently cut, young player, hungry to prove himself that he is an NFL linebacker, and I think he has a great opportunity as a Buck to do that. So, if you want to know a name that you should look out for, it's CJ Avery. Other than the big names I talked about, or other than the names that are known, he's definitely one of them. And I talked about DJ Calhoun in my last video. I did not talk about Pita. I don't want to butcher his last name. I tried looking up a pronunciation. I could not find one. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, but I could not find one, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to call him Pita. I didn't find a lot about him, but I'm excited to see what this defense has, because it is, run by a Hall of Famer. So this is going to be fucking fantastic, and I'm really excited to see what this defense can do, especially against the Arlington Renegades on Saturday. And now we're talking about, the cream, everyone loves talking about the offense. And here they are, save them for last. Here's the starting offense. Luis Perez is your QB1 to start the season. However, I don't see that staying like this. Or maybe, like they did in the USFL, they run a 2 QB system with Brett Hundley playing what was his name? I forget his name off the top of my head. Oh my god, it's bothering me. I had it. It was DeAndre Johnson. Don't remember his name, but he was USFL and New Jersey Generals quarterback. They both split time. It was literally a 2 QB system. They put him in different, in the middle of drives, they would switch QBs and have success doing it. So they might do it this time with Brett Hundley playing the running threat QB, but can still throw. And Luis Perez was the guy that can complete the ball, very safe with the ball. 71.7 completion percentage, 112 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 1 interception in the 2 QB system. So he did play, all the games, but he only played technically half the snaps that he would normally. And he wasn't, the guy. Honestly, the other guy was better, but I think that's where Brett Hundley is going. And if we do a 2 QB system and actually execute it well, it could really work. But if we don't, it's just like Luis Perez is starting for now because Brett Hundley came too late to really understand the system, then I expect Brett Hundley to be the starter at some point unless Luis Perez really pops off. I talked about Rod Smith in my last video. Talked about Brandon Dillon, my first video, but to recap, Rod Smith has NFL experience, NFL running back on the Cowboys. This is a second opportunity for him. He had off-field issues and injuries and stuff like that. And let's see what he can do. Brandon Dillon's been on the practice squad for the Vikings and active roster, back and forth on the Vikings for the past 3 seasons. Was an absolute stud at his college. He was sat on the Vikings, like I said, practice squad / starting roster kind of. Even though it was doubtful he would actually make it through to the roster, he became a part of the initial final 51 back in 2019, I believe it was, but eventually he's been going back and forth between practice squad and stuff like that because they do have a pretty good tight end room with Irv Smith and at the time Adam Thielen, and he never really broke through to become that tight end 2, but he has his opportunity now to show that to NFL teams, hey, I can be that tight end 2 or even tight end 3, just in case you need a really solid backup tight end. Again, O-line struggled to find information, but Donovan West is the name I've been seeing. He went to UNLV, which I believe. I talked about Antonio Garcia, who's actually backed up to Clayton Briley, so Clayton Briley is got to be pretty damn good. Quintarius Ettman, didn't find a lot about him either. He was a Raider for a hot second too. Isaiah Williams, didn't find a lot about him. Larry Williams, I don't know anything about. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I cannot judge O-line at all, and I try to put good content in there, and I'm finding a lot of good information, but O-line is the one I struggle with. Gonna be a buck with you. So yeah, I did not find any information about them, but talking about the wide receivers now, the cream of the crop of our offense, honestly, it's probably the best part of our offense is our wide receiver core of Martavis Bryant, Jeff Bidet, and Geronimo Allison. 3 NFL caliber wide receivers, 2 of them who had long-term success in the NFL before injuries or just being, slowly cut out of starting rosters as, wide receivers got better. Martavis Bryant had drug issues. Well, it was mostly weed, honestly, and I believe it was PEDs at some point, but I don't want to accuse him of anything. I'm not trying to accuse him of anything. It's just I don't remember if it was weed or PEDs, but something related to drugs got him cut from the Raiders after popping off with the Steelers. Geronimo Allison was a solid Packers wide receiver 3 or 4 for a good stretch of time. Now he's trying to find his way back into starting for or playing on an NFL team again, and he's doing it through the XFL Vipers, or he's just trying to find a way to play wide receiver again. He just wants to play and have success and have fun. Jeff Bidet, young player, 2018 was when he went into the draft. I believe he went undrafted, or at least a late round pick, but he has a blazing 4.27 40-yard dash, which is insanely fast, really fast. And we also have Brian Burt, who's a running back, but also / wide receiver. He's our 4th string running back right now, but I could definitely see him in packages of being a running back, but then they switch him to wide receiver, and he actually does really well because he was both. He was a running back in college, but also did a little bit of wide receiver, and then when he went to the pros, he was actually signed as an undrafted free agent by the Raiders, eventually cut, but he was originally put as a wide receiver just because of his speed, and we could see something like that. I'm just talking about Brian Burt, because he's also a Raider, which is kind of nice, and he has a redemption arc. He literally, his still pinned tweet is him being an undrafted free agent by the Raiders because it was a dream of his. He was a walk-on, I believe, at Fresno, or wasn't really used at Fresno a lot, but had that speed and had that potential to be a big playmaker in small spots because he doesn't necessarily have the size at wide receiver because he's a running back. But let's see what this offense can do. I'm actually really excited for this offense. Has a lot of proven talent on it, and let's just hope that it can all come together into a nice cohesive unit and have Luis Perez throwing to 2 proven NFL vets with a backfield of a proven NFL running back and a proven NFL tight end and some O-line that I think has also some NFL experience, but I don't have stats for them because they're O-line, and I'm not watching tape on practice squad O-line. No offense. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I put a ton of research into this. I did, a few hours of research going through the list of making sure I find enough information on the guys and found interesting guys like CJ Avery, who I'm really excited about. I hope he pops off. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe because there will be more Vipers content coming. There will be Raiders content coming as well. I'll probably make a Raiders video tomorrow. Not sure about what yet, but there's a couple things on my mind that I want to talk about and just discuss and just put it out there into the world of my ideas of what the Raiders or what the fuck is going on in Vegas. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe down below, like the video, comment. How excited are you for the XFL 3.0 to be coming to Vegas? Finally, we have a Vegas team for the first time since the 2000s. Obviously, other than the Raiders, but I'm talking about XFL specifically. And whether you'll be watching. And also, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you know when I start my live stream on Saturday, watching this game and giving my live reaction to this squad. And hopefully, we get the W against the Arlington Renegades in our very first game, which would be awesome. So I hope you guys had an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out, Raider Nation.